Hello, you are watching and listening to an episode of Leaders and Engineers. We are broadcasting from Tallinn, and I'm Nodorhan Yusupov. Today, our guest is an expert in data science with a long track in leadership and managerial positions. Holder of diploma in information systems analysis and Master of Science in Business Information Technology, with more than 16 years of experience in data science, AI, and machine learning. He worked in such companies as Helmes, Ericsson, DriveX, Scoro, LightCode Photonics, led software engineering department, was a CTO and vice president in technology companies. He's living in Estonia and working now in end-to-end data solutions provider Sparkle. Please meet Martin Karu.
Hi.
Hello. So how are you doing?
Doing well. That was one good introduction. I don't think I have 16 years of experience in data and AI, but in total, I think I worked for that long time. And as you saw, I started off as a full stack engineer and systems analyst, and I worked in different roles, and I've had a fun life.
You're still having.
Exactly. I was thinking of that phrasing as well. It's continuous.
But you said, I was thinking how to summarize, because you really, your career is impressive in different fields and different areas. And then I saw data science, because I saw system analysis also referred to the, but then you also had part in software engineering. And the software engineering, how much was that with data? I mean, was purely software engineering, or it's
everything stayed up, as some people like to say. I in LinkedIn, my tagline is people data solutions or people solutions processes, and that's pretty much everything. So I like to build solutions. I like to build it together with people, and the solution part is that typically there should be a problem, so there should be a use for the item or process that we're building. So it shouldn't be a toy data set, and it's either fixing a problem or creating new capabilities.
Great, and we will talk more about that during the job interview mode. And as you know, and I will remind that the format here is that now we'll pretend that you're applying to some fictional company, and that fictional company is leadership position there, but leadership position means it's either manager of the engineers, software engineers, data scientists, or the lead data scientist. But it is, in any ways, it's a leadership role.
Okay, managing a team of data scientists and data people, and
yes, exactly. Yeah,
understood.
And then at some point I will say that thank you, the job interview is over, and then this will be time to provide feedback. How did you feel during that interview, and how is it similar to you in your career, how you had those job interviews and when you were hiring people. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Great. Hello, Martin.
I know that.
Thank you for applying for the leadership position in our data science department.
Glad to be here.
And our company is producing a Hug Me pillow, and it's for lonely men and women who need a shoulder to sleep on. And you'll be leading a team of software engineers and data scientists developing this product. And you will see this on your screens, but I'll show you here. That's how it looks like. So this woman, she is imagining maybe it's a boyfriend or husband.
Yeah.
Well, she can have a peace in mind.
And what can you already bring me up? Can you look me in what are the technical capabilities of that solution, or is that in a later part?
Well, it's actually would be a question to you as well. What you see could be those from data perspective. Okay, this is like a pillow, and but from mechanical side, design is already there, the physical object.
Yeah.
But how do we make it smart? and how we can apply this data science, maybe some kind of a data collection. So maybe you could give your thoughts after what you have seen and what I have described.
Yeah, of course. A really awesome product, and I'm certain that many people will benefit from having such a device. One of the things that I would like to start out with is that there is no separate data science, but rather it's a one product that we're building in data science. The data science will support it in its path. So in essence, I would still start from the business goals, business value, the product, the characteristics. What does the product need to be and become? And then we have a couple of expectations, also limitations. For example, the price or the size of it. We couldn't fit the full-sized PC into it, so maybe some of the features need to be toned down. But then, if we take that, the then goal is to give warmth and a feeling of affection to the person, then I would start from there, and I would validate all the features of data science of typical solution software against that characteristic and metric. Then from hardware side, we need to have inputs and we need to have outputs. We need to understand the environment. So if a person is hugging it or close to it, or what's the proximity and position of the person? Are they laying side by side or are they sitting upright? Then there should be, now we're in the stage of chatbots and GPT, and the chatbots have been here for a long time, but now they have a passable liking to a human being. So building on top of existing state-of-the-art but already commercialized solutions is quite simple. So if we take that as a basis, then we would have an interface where the person, the lady, they can talk into. They can talk about their feelings. They can talk about their expectations, and we take that as input. So we have a couple of sensors: proximity, maybe pressure, and voice. Next up, we need a bit of compute and internet connectivity, because still the chatbots, they don't run inside of edge devices, or this would be an edge device deployed onto or placed into the home of a person. So we would take the input from the voice and the other sensors, send it to a server. We would process it and send the feedback. And now,
this is an interesting point, actually. And I think this is one of the dilemmas facing people who are developing these data pipelines. They have some kind of portable solution. So this is, in the sense, not plugged to the socket. And from energy perspective and the size, how would you decide between this edge computing or committing towards the transmitter to make sure that there is or increasing this kind of bandwidth, utilizing more bandwidth, but using calculation power in the cloud?
Awesome question. In smart manufacturing, the topic is, or in other domains as well, thin client or thick client, and I think this is the same example. How much of the knowledge should be deployed into the item itself, and how much could we abstract away and place into a more distant place? If we're talking about hundreds or thousands of edge devices, for example, a larger warehouse, then having the compute near the edge or in between edge or that device and the cloud, which is called the fog or the hub. That means, in simpler terms, we have a device that's, in this case, the pillow, and then we have a server on premise, which is called the fog server, and then we have cloud, which is, it's still a couple of servers, but it's deployed into a cluster. If you have thousands of devices, then the network starts to play. we cannot saturate or we cannot utilize the network to 100%. Otherwise, we lose other communications. If we're talking about that there's one or maybe two devices inside of your home, then we are saturating this network, and the other networks are they should manage that level of load. People are streaming Netflix. Each apartment has a Netflix. So here, the network part, the interface, the transmitter, I don't think that's a bottleneck. And now we get to the question of value, the principle, and simply, if you can consolidate the items, if you can consolidate logic, then it's easier. And with that, I mean that if you can deploy it to the cloud and have one place that decides activities, then connecting to that is easy, updating it is easier, and managing it is easier, and also monitoring who has access and is it working, is it not working. Whenever we talk about the edge deployments, then it gets a bit messy. For example, if you need to update your phone thinks that, hey, there's an update available, but that means that you need to restart your phone, you need to optimize the applications, all of it. It's a headache for you, the person, for the company that's managing it. So cloud is, deployment-wise, management-wise, cloud is easy. If you can handle the network, then it's easy.
These are very good points, but so far we were taking in terms of the management, orchestration, and let's say doing these upgrades. But if we add to this dimension of privacy, so this is like you can imagine your hot meal below. From this perspective, then where the balance will shift towards the edge device?
Of course, if I can physically hold the device that's computing or processing my emotions, then I feel secure. And you can utilize different tools that visualize or verify that there is no unnecessary data leaving your premises. It's an awesome question. Okay, in a modern data platform, in GDPR, we talk about the data obfuscation or pseudonymization. We use pseudonyms. So you will not be Nadir, you would be ABC 123, and we would not link the data, even your voice, even the words that you're saying, to you. But that's easy to say and hard to believe. You don't know what is there. So yeah, if I can deploy it maybe instead of the cloud, instead of this Hug Me Pillow, into an application in your phone, that's also a bit easier than to develop a custom chip that you can place into the pillow. Okay, that's easy. But then we are losing a couple of features. The cloud, the cloud has a couple of cool features, such as scalability, both in terms of storage. So you can store hundreds of hours of your voice there. Your phone, 100 is easy, doable. Thousands might be a bit more complicated. And then we do get into again of ChatGPT. Today, I don't think you have even private deployments available. That has 100 million parameters, and I think it's 500 gigabytes. That single model is 500 gigabytes, and it's larger than Wikipedia itself. You cannot deploy that into your phone. You cannot deploy it even into your laptop or Fog server. Yes, but that's not provided yet. And again, we're talking about the home device, so it's a question, and maybe it could be an opt-in for the user. Would you like to just feel the warmth? Maybe if we have the proximity sensor, you go there, and we have a really simple trigger, start to warm, and maybe slight vibrate or hum, or I don't know which features would benefit the person. You can have that set of features, or you could add the conversation mode as well. But that does mean that your data, it does go to the cloud.
If you step back from the product itself and look more into your experience, but also into your motivations, Basically, you applied for this position, and the question, why have you decided to apply for this?
I like to build solutions, and I like to build solutions that benefit people. And I have typically I have different roles in my life, but I always come back to problem solutions, data, and also IoT. So this combines most of.
Looking at your LinkedIn, by the way, pretty, in my opinion, pretty well filled in and quite detailed. And but in your LinkedIn, your professional experience, career, start with founding the company. You founded the company according to this LinkedIn and became a CTO there, this publishing company.
Yeah.
Is it your first ever work experience straight away?
Yeah.
Creating company. And
I met a friend. I think I was in 10th grade, and he's wicked smart and capable and driven also. He's a deadly weapon working in Wise today. And together he was studying for his final exams, and he created for himself a couple of study aids, and they were really good, so good that other people asked for it. So we thought about, hey, let's package it up, let's make it nice and formatted, and we started to sell it. And we started I was in 11th grade, he was in 10th grade. Yeah, it was for the 9th grade final exams that we created those. And we created a student company called Martyr, which is a martyr. So someone who dies for their beliefs. We received feedback that the name is a bit odd, and for 2 years we had a student company, and then we created an actual company, also, and then the name was Raudvara Publishing House. Yeah, and even there, although we published the books, then I created a warehouse system. I created the website. I always find myself in software, in solutions, in data.
Very interesting, and it's I think it's not very common to start straight away with own business, to create company when you're fresh graduate, and you must be brave enough to starting as your first ever experience, starting with your own company.
Yeah, stupid as well. Let's say that. Actually, I have in the past year or two, I've been more or closer to the startup accelerators and incubators, and one of the values that I've seen from there is people asking tough questions. During the first company that we had, we were selling books, and we calculated the profit margin. You should, of course. So you had the cost of the printer and you had the cost of the book, and it was 900% different. So we sold it for something, and it was 9 times cheaper to produce it. And we were really happy that also we have a product which has an 800% profit margin. If we were part of an actual accelerator or talking to smart people, then they would have asked, like, okay, how much time did you spend creating it? How much time are you spending selling it? How much do you spend at the office? What are the overhead costs? What are the capabilities of scaling it up and out? And if you take those into account, then we were still profitable. But the salaries that we paid ourselves were negligible. And I think we learned a couple of hard truths with that. Yeah. Getting a salary from a company is better, simpler, and even higher than with your own publishing house. But again, it's awesome.
But so on one hand, if you go through this kind of accelerator, you have lots of smart people and different eyes who can guide you and and probably increase the likelihood of success.
Yeah.
But is it? I mean, imagine you started that path with that business. You went to the startup incubator accelerator, and wouldn't it kill your initiative or this kind of freedom to explore and try out? You will feel, okay, there's all the smart people there, and what can I do? And
It's fun topic. With the publishing house, I don't think it fits into too many startups. So it would either sort of nudge us towards a pivot into something that is scalable, something that's more service oriented rather than publishing books.
Mhm.
But startup accelerators as a whole, everything's about people. There are no corporations. There are just people working in a corporation. And if you want to achieve something, then you have to have the correct people, starting from yourself or the people you work with. And in this case, of course, startup accelerators can make you or can nudge you into the incorrect position. But my experience this far is that they're smart people there as well. They understand that you have your vision, and your vision is a lot larger than they will comprehend, because they're not you. They don't see into your brain 100% and so forth. So they have to believe that you have a vision. They would just ask questions and maybe give suggestions, maybe talk about their experience or how it might apply there without going into demagogy. But yeah, so my experience, especially from my most recent place, LightCode Photonics, we were part of very many different accelerators, startup programs, and I think the latest one that they're part of is Intel Ignite, which is Intel, the global company who's putting their best minds and giving you the opportunity to ask them questions. How did you productize it? How did you scale this up? How do you go from 20 to 100 or 200 people? And you do have these supply chain issues, and mostly people nothing's new under the sun. So you're not the first person to have FPGA trouble. Go to the correct people and ask the correct questions. Let them ask questions from you, and feel the pain. Go back, get the answers, and try.
And also on your LinkedIn, it's mentioned, you put about your self-description, building deep tech solutions and knowing every moment, which sounds really nice. But could you please expand, what are those deep tech solutions you've been building and what you love about it?
Awesome. I think I haven't updated it then for at least 4 months, because I haven't been in deep tech for that long. But deep tech, in that context, it refers to startups that are, or typical startup is service-oriented, SaaS. You have built something and you're offering it to others to use. And it's rather about software or maybe data. Deep tech refers to hardware and maybe networking problems which are tied to research and have a lot longer payback periods than SaaS. And in this case, we're talking rough numbers. I'm not the expert in this, but rather 6 to 12 months for SaaS and 3 to 5 for deep tech. And deep tech often does include productizing or productionizing hardware, building PCBs, building the connectors, putting the logic there, validating it, defining partners.
So there is more vertical and horizontal integration.
Yeah. There are a couple of additional layers. So with SaaS, you expect that the servers exist, and you then deploy out it. With deep tech, with hardware, there is no server, or maybe not in the sense that you can deploy something there.
And when we speak about startups and we divide them into this developer positions, one is a SaaS and the other one is deep tech. It's seems obvious that for deep tech risks are higher and payoff return on investment will take much longer. But from your observations, from what you see, do investors understand? You tell them we'll be trying different things and doing research like 2 years, so you'll not get any profit. And how is this if you take this kind of proportion? Is there like enough number of investors who will understand and will be ready to put money into the high risk deep tech startup?
Cool. I think I would even equate their the risks are the biggest differentiator, but rather the time of payback, and it starts from component availability. If I want to deploy a website or a solution, 15 minutes, I can do the first hello world. If I want to have a PCB which sends out the laser and measures the return or number of photons that was bounced back, I have to go and either find a PCB that's already ready-made with laser that's ready-made. I have to order those. I have starting from selection of components. Software, you have a list of solutions. Go there. You've done it in still 5 minutes. Hardware, it's going to take you a bit longer. Again, if it's a logical place or if it's not that deep, maybe not that research oriented. Sorry, I'm a bit cold. Okay, but
please take it to you, maybe.
Yeah,
to hope to roll off.
Then, if it's not that the research oriented, but rather developing hardware, then okay, you still have ready-made components. You can go and get the Arduino or Raspberry Pi. Selection is still longer. Time that it arrives to your place is longer, and the scale or the impact, the scope of how many people can test your solution. I can send the software solution out to my friends, 10 replies in 1 hour. Raspberry Pi will take a week or so. So everything just takes so much more time. Now, there was a question about the number of investors. It was really painful last year. Last couple of years have had a couple of different blockers, starting from the energy prices going up. There's a huge, the inflation numbers are huge. These both things already made the investors more wary of taking risks. So then we had the Russian war in Ukraine. That also froze a lot of the Western investments, especially. And as a result of this, most corporate investors, VCs, they did not invest in especially hardware startups.
Just for the clarity, we're talking specifically about the Estonia situation in Estonia.
Yeah, Estonia.
And more or less in Baltics.
Yeah, exactly. Because there were enough articles on LinkedIn or posts on LinkedIn who says that they're talking to American investors and they're asking but the war's next door too.
So this scared many investors and
exactly.
But if I don't know how long ago you came to when you saw this kind of deep tech startups, but if we take out from equation all this situation, external factors which are happening now, so I know before COVID, maybe this is ideal reference point. In my understanding that this kind of investors who understand this, what are the likelihood you go to those startup events and then you present there a deep tech? What are the chances you will get their investor? Is it the right place even? or it should be done in?
It is still you have to be there. You have to show yourself, and your idea is even more unique than the others, because it is tough. So getting there is tough. Then the only investors that remained were the angels, and this means that people who have money in their bank account, they come to you and they see that you know what you're talking about, and you have prototypes, and you have proof, and you have proven yourself that you know what you're doing, and you have a roadmap, feature roadmap. You have like exactly, well, I will do this, then that gets me these parameters. I can go 1 meter.
If we take the story with Terranos, have you heard about that one? This kind of deep tech, right? And it's not clear. You like putting money, but it's such a deep tech that okay, we can wait 5 or 8 years, and still research and development and no product on the market. How to avoid this kind of risks?
Ooh. So we're talking from the investor side, how to ensure that the team that or the company that you're investing into is actually delivering and will deliver, right?
Yeah. So for instance, there is kind of minimum viable product expected to be released soon, but in the deep tech, maybe it's not so feasible to release it like in other kind of startup.
Well, Theranos was an awesome example with the medical engineering even. It is a tough domain. Nevertheless, you can split up the final solution into components. That's going still from the electronics example. You have the mechanics, you have a body where we'll place the items, you have PCB, you might have optics, you might have lasers, you might have power boards, you might have adapters, you might have other sensors. You have firmware, so the core software that's placed into the PCBs that is required to run the PCBs correctly. And you have networking capabilities and all of those things. So you can list those capabilities, and you have different levels of readiness for each. So for each of those subcomponents, you can have a proof of principle. Does it work? Can you even get data out of this type of a system? Can you send photons and to measure it? Can you? There's an Estonian company in biology they're creating vegan proteins. And what they're doing is folding enzymes. They're using enzymes to crunch through other materials, and they have a vision. They know what the end result should be. They know what's currently out there, and they have a backlog. We have to do this, and this, and that will validate this part. So going back to the question, is there enough investors? Is there how to back it up? It's really complicated. You do have to have a deep understanding of what the company is building and why, and also what does something mean? What does it mean that you're doing pilots or that you have pilot agreements with partner companies? And in this case, what I mean is that before putting even MVP, before you put the MVP out on the market, you can already simulate the data. You can go to another company and say that, okay, we see that the final product is this. We have simulated some items. Is it the match data structure is it something that you need? In our case, we talked about 3D mapping. You have 3D visualization solutions. LiDARs are already on the market. So you can go step by step and you can define the problems that you're actually trying to solve.
So do I understand correctly that in large part here it also was lack of this accountability, holding accountable from the investor side, no proper checks, so this kind of planning in a sense.
It might be. I haven't looked too much into the Theranos example, but it's still the investor never has the 100% the clarity into what's happening. They still have a model or abstraction of that. There might be things that you don't know to even ask for. So if people lie, then yeah, I think Elizabeth Holmes, she's in jail, she's in prison because she lied, and there is the bottom line is still accountability. I think Sam Bankman, he's also in jail already or on parole or something.
Just for reference, that was the founder of the cryptocurrency FTX,
Who also
stock exchange.
who also didn't have any measures of monitoring or financial control in place. Then funneled, I think, 300 million to his own company.
Well, hopefully this the lessons learned, even though quite with a big sums, and quite fatal in that sense.
And the impact is in the startups that are trying to raise capital today. Congrats.
But if we continue with your background and roughly, if I look, it's like 8 years you were in management positions in different companies, and so it's like half of your career when you're specialist and half of your career when you are in manager position or lead position. And here is my question: do you consider yourself more a manager or specialist?
Yeah. I think I started my actual good management experience starts from Ericsson, and I think it's from 2019 or 20. So I don't have that much experience, but I always one cool part that Ericsson had was Leaders ABC training by smart capable people, Liana Damm and yeah, exactly. And it was what was it? 8 full days of trainings where managers or future managers of Ericsson came together and played through different scenarios, discussed, talked, and learned. At that time, when I was there, I was not yet the manager, but then there was a good distinction there that you don't have to be appointed manager to be a leader, and So in my heart, I think I'm a leader, and in my head, I'm an engineer. No, vice versa. Yeah, exactly. In my heart, I'm an engineer, but in my head, I'm a manager, and it comes back to I don't even consider myself that much of a manager. I'm rather a lead. I like to build stuff, and I like to be busy and keep others busy, and I like to pull them along or push them towards something, and I like that I'm being pulled along, and I enjoy learning every day. I enjoy creating solutions, and large solutions typically cannot be built alone.
And does it translate? So you lead, you have your team, but as I understood, you like to stay hands-on. And does it translate into which part of the whole data science journey? It's data wrangling or coding, building the models, machine learning models. So in which part you feel you like more?
Yeah, I would even say that I don't have a team, but I'm part of a team. And there are people that have a common interest and common goal. I'm one of those people. I have my skills. One of them is in my current role, I am a data consultant, data expert in Sparkle, and I don't have a contract, but there's an email that says that my responsibilities are project management, people management, sales, architecture, especially pre-sales architecture, simple, let's say solution analysis, and also data engineering. So I do what's needed. I am where things hurt. If the technical items are going well, I will focus on project management to making sure that the external parties are in the loop. They know what's happening. They're happy. If the team is facing troubles or would like more clarity, I will go into systems analysis, look at what are the components, what are the tools, how does it fit together. And if everyone is ill or working on something else, then I will go into Postman and create the API calls or do a bit of Python or what's it.
But you feel equally comfortable in every of this activity, or something you like more, or something you just have to do to make things work?
I like to say that I'm not a good coder. I'm not a good developer. I can script. I've been a developer, but I didn't reach the senior level, and I think it's sort of by design or by choice. I can do that, but I enjoy more the lead part where I have many moving parts and I have to coordinate those, make sure that everything moves at the same pace or similar pace. Otherwise, if someone reaches their goal and the other one hasn't even started, then the person who has reached their goal most probably has made some, maybe not even bugs or problems, but maybe their solution doesn't fit the holistic picture. So yeah, I feel the most comfortable in leading, rather even teams, not projects, or product lead. That might be that data science lead. Understanding where does data science fit into your problem, how to solve your issue, process mapping, process modeling, solution proposals, data architecture as a whole, infrastructure, and all of those things.
You have kids, so no.
Yeah, uno.
Yeah. Great. So this is a perfect then question. Being married and having a kid, what's the impact on your product efficiency, productivity? Can you clearly have this kind of difference before and after, live before and after?
Yes, yeah, and I've analyzed it quite a lot, or looked into it, reflected back. My main line of work starts from 2012 when I finished military service. I went to work as a full stack engineer full time. I went to study systems analysis in IT college full time, nightly, and during the evenings I also coded a bit the website. There's one apartment where we lived for 9 months, and I have 3 memories of it. Then I sort of eased up. The next years, I didn't have that many things to do or that many simultaneous activities. I usually had 2, like my main job and something on the side that keeps me busy. Because when people ask me what are my hobbies, then this is it. IT. I love what I do, and I do it often.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had our kid at the end of 2019, and there was a period when I was only working in one place. So yeah, having a kid, not going into the awesomeness of having one, but rather the performance and the efficiency. It is first thing is just time that you spend with them, that you want to spend with them, time that you spend with your spouse, making sure that they're happy or they are overwhelmed, and it is good for reevaluating. I have 15 minutes. What would I like to do? Is it work or not work? And now, today, my son is 3 years and a couple of months old, and I find myself again having more time. He has his own interests. He is playing around more. I cannot even say efficiency is picking up again, but but the mental capacity, you have time to think about other things or items too. There's an opportunity to think about your own items. First 2 years went by really quickly, blazingly fast.
But from your words, I understood work-life balance is important for you.
Yes, it's okay. Half jokingly, I don't appreciate people who do overtime. I don't think working overtime is a merit. I think it's a problem. It shows that you don't know how to prioritize and you don't know how to work efficiently. That being said, I do work more than 40 hours a week, but typically not in one single company. So yeah, for me it is. I remember last summer it was really awesome. 5 o'clock. It was sort of a brain dump. You pencil drops, and I step. I have a lovely home. We have 2 stories there. I have a room for my office. I go outside of my office room. I go downstairs. I'm done. I'm happy. And during the summers, it's really awesome because you have another day. If you finish your job at 5 o'clock and you're already at home, you have another full day that you can spend in your garden or going around and with your family. And also, I really love Corona times. I love that people were pushed from their offices, from their box, thinking that this is how you can work, into finding methods of how you can actually work. What is work for you? How do you set it up? How do you, what's the minimum item that is required for you to work? And typically it's a laptop or even a mobile phone. Do you need screens? Do you need to have your coworker next to you? How many hours would you actually want to spend in the office? Why do you go to the office? Is it because someone is ticking checkboxes, or is it because you want to collaborate with someone? Because talking one-to-one is faster and more efficient and more effective towards getting you to the point and understanding each other's viewpoints versus you have to be there. So I really love that I've spent exactly the time of my child's birth at home. He was 4 or 5 months old when the Corona times hit. Back then we were in a 2.5 room apartment. It was tight, spatially, and then we moved to a bigger place, and it's awesome. You go. I go to the kitchen to grab a coffee, and I can see him play.
But you mentioned about the benefits working from home and that you really enjoyed this, but did you also at the same time struggle to put the borderline when the work time is over and then starts your home time, so to say?
Yes, initially especially. I think the first 1 or 2 months was odd, and there were 2 main reasons. One of them was just finding the balance, and the other one was in March we went to our home offices, and in May that was the time I became a manager of software engineers. So I had to link up, or I had to onboard all of those new people into my team, make sure that they understand who I am, I understand who they are, and to set everything up. So there was a change in paradigm. Thought process changed. But then I would say it's even easier after you go through the motions yourself. You understand, okay, my work is in my laptop. There is also one caveat. I have email and chat set up in my phone. On one hand, it's awesome. If I have time, I can take a look at it and answer. I don't have notifications and blings or nothing chimes in my phone when I receive an email. It just exists there, so I can check it when I want to. But that being said, if it's 9 o'clock in the evening, you get a work email, your mind shifts to that. So there are pros and cons, there are methods software tips and tricks. In Android phones, you can set up a work profile. You can put all the Outlook items there. You can schedule it at 6 o'clock in the evening. The work mode is turned off, etc.
But just now you also mentioned about experience as a manager of software engineering, and then you said this was so changing for you, some kind of transformation.
Yeah.
Could you please elaborate what exactly changed for you?
Yeah. It's as I mentioned before, I worked in projects. I've led domains or knowledge or tech leads or different roles I've already held before becoming a manager. But then as a manager, if we take the discrete definition of a manager, which is managing people, which means that you are not part of any solution teams, but you have up to 10 people. Maybe 12 is a maximum amount of people that a person can effectively manage. Then your mind needs to be about your day-to-day is that who are in my team, what are they working on, what's going well, what could be improved, and what's next. And there are 3 pillars in any person working in any corporation. Essentially, there should be your day-to-day team, project or product. That's where you get your daily work plans. Then you should have a manager, someone who listens to your complaints and make sure that you have your laptops and work items, and you can go on holidays, and you get your salary, and you get your salary increases, etc. And the third person is competence management, someone who makes sure that long term you also evolve. You talk with them, you set your goals, they nudge you towards becoming a better you. A manager often is linked with the competence management also. So in this case, manager of software engineers should also be the competence manager of software engineers. You can consult with experts like seniors, but then you the manager should do the bi-weekly cadence, or twice a month, or twice a year, or once per quarter. You should go over with a person in your team, okay, that human being, that all right, we set these goals. How are you doing? How can I help you? And again, this is every 2 weeks I would meet with them to ask general questions, and every 3 to 6 months I would ask the competence development question. But yeah, your day-to-day is not about you. You deliver when the team delivers, but in essence, that should be the model of any team. Mm-hmm. That's the difference between a work group and a team. You have either common goals or individual goals.
But can anyone become a leader, or can anyone become leader, and can anyone become manager?
Everyone shouldn't become a manager. Yeah. Okay, the typical path in a corporation or in a company is junior, or maybe let's start with intern, junior, mid-level, so self-sufficient, single contributor. I can do my stuff, and I don't need my hand to be held. Then senior, someone who can teach the skills onto juniors and the team. And then there are a couple of different diverging paths here, or different definitions. So these first are quite simple: junior, mid, senior. In addition to these, you have tech lead. Someone, let's say you're the best Java or .NET developer in your company, you are the tech lead of this. You're leading the technology, and you're making sure that others also evolve there. So that's rather competence management. Then there's the tech lead of a project or product team, where you have business who says the product owner is typically the business owner. They say that we need these features. The tech lead says, okay, we will do them this way. And that then again, it's not a level of work, but it's rather type of function, or that's what you do. That's not who you are. And then there are architect roles. And you could say that there's a junior architect, but there typically isn't, but there's rather an architect, and then there's a senior or lead architect or principal architect, something you put in addition to those. And we assign year values there. So if you have 0 to 1 years of experience, maybe 2, you should be a junior. 1 to 3, that's a mid-level, and maybe 1 maybe even to 5 years mid-level. Do your job well. 3 to 5 years, that's when you can and should become a senior. You're already so good at what you do, so you should support others. And then architecture is not part of this path, actually. That's the thing. I think that's your question. It's the logical thing after a developer or engineer to become an architect. So to look at the big picture, to look at what components are, how to set those things up, how to set up the networking, how to do those things. But architects are architects, and engineers are engineers, and managers are managers, which is saying the same words over and over again. There are different purposes, and the purpose is engineer is to deliver, architect is to align and create the common understanding, and the manager is to make sure that people are happy. If you feel that, if you have been an engineer for a long time and you feel that maybe you would like to make people happy, do that. If you would like to lead people, then ask for a tech lead role. There was also champion. So in your technology, you're the champion in your whole company, which means that it's your responsibility to hold the townhouse meetings or involve other engineers and talk about code quality, code versioning, tools, approaches, methods, ways of working, all of those things. And again, you don't have to be a manager to manage.
So if I understood, you mentioned different roles, and in some sense they're formalized, and so this is a kind of mandate from the formal perspective, and but of course, probably to get to this formal stage, you need to prove your leadership skills.
Yeah. And again, we're back at the leader versus manager. And today, the general expectation is that the managers are leaders. And there's a visualization of this, that a manager is on their pedestal and says, go. And the leader is at the front of the herd and says, like, come. So you don't have to be appointed manager to become a leader. And I think that's a good sort of entry. If you're a leader anyway, if you like talking to people, if you like the multitude of opinions, and if you like the pain of argument, then maybe management is the way for you. But then arguments are constructive discussions, and they have to be led. So again, we're leading the conversation, leading people, leading ideas, aligning, facilitating, synergy. Let's put that word in here as well.
I can hear in your voice you, in some sense, you like to set the vision. You're a visionary.
Yeah.
And I believe this is some kind of prerequisite if you want to motivate your team. You said this. You can basically, in words, visualize this future and lead to that future.
I do like visual cues and visual explanations. If you want to read any book on anything, then read Simon Sinek's Start with the Why, and that starts with why are we here? What's the purpose of this? Then how is this setup that we have a podcast, and then what is the questions that you're asking me? And the what is important, the how is important, but if there is no why, then why even bother? And the other part, I've said that I'm not a good coder. I want to say that I don't think that I'm a good project manager either. And there are a couple of things why I think that. Firstly, project management is facilitation. Projects are successful if they're on time, on budget, and on scope. But there was no mention of fixing the problem or alleviating pain or on time, on cost. Those are the main things. And the typical definition of a project manager, and especially in my head, is that you have engineers who do the work. There comes a customer who they say that I need this, and you facilitate. You maybe define it in other words, and you send it forward. Maybe don't even rewrite it. If you're a product owner, if you own something, if you're a leader, if you lead something, like be team lead, data science lead, then the first thing is that you should have some understanding of the domain, the technical skills. So what is data science? What is engineering? What is mechatronics? What is mechanics? How does this switch, if I press this switch, how does that translate into this robot? You need to have the technical capabilities to lead a team. The second part is you need to understand the domain. So Ericsson, manufacturing, there's so many things to know there. But even if I say, I was part of the IT in Ericsson. From IT, everyone from the factory side, they're engineers, and all engineers look the same. But then when you go to the factory, we understand that there's at least 5 or maybe even more different types of engineers who are part of the final assembly process. So the domain that they're operating in is even more granular or even more refined than you think that it is. So understand what is engineering, what does that mean, understand domain, where do you apply it, and then understand the problem. And here's the thing that I have an issue in my head. Project management sort of glances over those things. People management glances over those things. So in order to become an efficient or to be a good manager that people love, you have to have the technical interest. You have to care about what you're doing, and you have to understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. And then if you understand it, you should be able to do it yourself to at least some level of degree, and then you can communicate to others. If anything, any one of those is lacking, then you're lacking. The team is lacking. The solution will not be this thing that will fix items unless you have a really strong team.
But you started with saying that you don't feel you're a good coder, not neither the project manager.
Yeah, I'm not a good data scientist either.
But is it more to the sense that we always aiming to perfection, but there is always continuous improvement, or it's something else?
Yeah, and there's a good. I just listened to a good podcast. I will give you the name later. And it talked about perfection versus impeccability. Perfection does not exist, but I would like to be impeccable at items. And yeah, I am above average project manager. If we take this general consensus, if we take the general population into account, then I might even be better than average coder. I can teach coding. I've spent enough hours arguing about code quality and metrics, and I know the principle.
What is your technology stack, by the way? Which programming language you are proficient in?
I started with the LAMP stack, so Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. JavaScript goes in there well. jQuery, plain JavaScript. I haven't played around with Angular or React.js too much. I have minimal understanding of that. In university, I think I've spent 2 or 3 years in totally different lectures working with both Java and .NET. My main language is actually Python, and the answer is that it doesn't matter. You have a problem, you fix it. And now I'm working with Power Platform, which is mQuery, mCode and Power Query. looks a lot like JavaScript.
This Power, you mean this from Microsoft?
Yes. Yeah. Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate. Yeah. Typically, it doesn't matter, and you have a problem, and you have tools, and you should start. There's this first principles, which says that start with what you know, and do it. If I think I'm good at Python, and good might be the proper term here, as in 4 out of 5, then I will start it in Python. If not there, then Python, and if it needs performance adjustments, then I will talk to someone who knows Scala, and we will set it up in DriveX. It's good. But again, if you don't know even Python, and okay, to be a good engineering manager, test it out. Go through an online course. Be interested in it. Either Python, either electronics, but
be interested or be the one from the heart. So let's say, do you think that you've been in the team, you were doing software engineering, or let's say working with the data preparation, but and then you become manager, or you come as a manager and then you start learning, asking people around your team. So what is in your opinion, the best way?
There are okay. I've been a self-learner, so I think the second example fits into my description better. But then I've always the level of operations that I've been a part of is 10 to 50 people. That's sort of my comfort zone. Yeah, 10 to 50 people is my comfort zone in companies, in products, in solutions. If you're thinking of becoming a manager or owner or whatever for 1,000-person team, 5,000, I don't know, Fortune 50 company, then there's a totally different set of skills that's needed there. And you do need financial understanding. You need to understand the law, so legal matters, and you need to know management of managers. And if you want to be a good engineering manager, which I hope that most people do, or lead, or if you want to become a good engineer, even to keep others happy, and so if you want to be an awesome engineer who people want to work with, then you should go towards leading anyway. And leading in this sense would be communicating your ideas and being interested in others, and thinking of the bigger goal than just fixing this bug. You should anyway broaden your horizons and listen to and ask questions about management. But if your goal is becoming a Fortune 50 or 500 top level manager, then I would skip the engineering part. So different problems call for different methods.
Thank you. And the last question in our intro is, what's your salary expectation?
And what's good? So we're talking about data science lead, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think this year the market has gone a bit down. End of last year, sort of, let's say before the base interest, the inflation started to go up. Money had no value. Back then, I wouldn't go out of here with anything less than 5 net. Today, I might go 44 net. But again, the range might be wider, 35 to 5, and that's where I might ask. The differentiate, or my decision is based upon the responsibilities and the expectations, and you're expecting me to lead and to be a proficient data scientist. this is a role, this is a competence that is not easily found. There have been a global car manufacturing company came to Estonia. They opened their office and they left here because they thought about creating a data science team in Estonia. And then I heard from, I don't know, I don't want to say the company name, but the largest Estonian startup with thousands of people who said that they're hiring 85% of their people outside of Estonia. So expats. So yeah, it's a tough road to find and to hire.
Thank you. And we're done with the job interview. Now it's time for feedback. So how do you feel? Was it difficult, tough?
Yeah, it's
For opposite?
I think we did go into the podcast mode quite quickly. There might have been one question which was in the job interview mode, and then we went into general topics. But I enjoyed it, and I think the more general definition of this discussion, taking my LinkedIn as the basis and then riffing off of that or jamming, yeah, cool. I enjoyed the concept. I think it creates value, and I hope my answers were sufficient. I hope that it wasn't thought about me, but rather the concepts.
Well, both are important, and there are much more questions. Usually, I prepare a lot more questions, but obviously, we need to keep up the time frame, and within the time frame, it's you need to choose. And
I'm more of a leader than an engineer, right? Longer answers.
Well, you answered yourself then. But you said it's more like podcast mode rather than job interview overall. That was your feeling?
Yeah. It's still general feeling. Well, starting from the setup of or layout of the chairs, and also these chairs being a bit more comfier than office chairs.
But do you wish, let's say, if you don't compare with the previous experience, do you wish that job interviews be like that?
I enjoy going to job interviews. I think they're good. They're a place where you can understand who you are. And okay, bit longer answer again. The things that we do day to day, they seem insignificant, or they seem easy. Like, of course I can do this. But then going to a job interview for a similar role or maybe even slightly different, that's the only place where you can and shouldn't have to sell yourself a bit, not oversell, but still talk about who you are and why are you making those choices, and why is it relevant for this company. We are in Estonia. I am an Estonian, and all Estonians are introverts. Some are fake extroverts, starting from me. Then it is really hard to sell yourself or go to LinkedIn and say that I'm so proud of this thing and I'm doing awesomely and I'm doing great. So enjoy it. Understand the context of a job interview. If you're going to some company, then they need you. They wouldn't talk to you if they didn't think that you're relevant and sufficient and smart and interesting, and they will not hire you if you're not interesting. The smartness part is both.
I think this is very motivating to people who are applying now and going for those job interviews. But if you give advice to software engineer, machine learning engineer, data scientist who wants to become a leader, what would be your advice?
Start with the why. Take a look at the big picture, see where it fits in. Think about the... okay, I've talked to quite many people about machine learning, and I've talked to data analysts about machine learning, and they say that I'm really good at it. I can code PCA, principal component analysis, from scratch. And the answer there is core. Because I've made this example a couple of times to people. You might learn how to drive a manual stick shift car, so you know the mechanics, you know how it operates, you know where's the first and the third and the fifth gear. But then at some point you internalize it. You see a problem and you understand that, okay, I can fix it this way and I can fix it that way. This tool fits here, this tool fits there. You see the world larger than just PCA and the how do you use Python 3.7 or 3.6? Doesn't matter. And leadership typically is the part where you have a multitude of options and you have a multitude of opinions, and yours might not matter. Yours shouldn't be the first and the last one. It might be the first one to get things started, and then take it easy. Let things work out and see how you can help others, both in your team and both as customers. Yeah. And the second topic is still looking at the bigger picture. So let's say we start off small, first principles. We have a problem, we have a data set even. Everything is easy. In your laptop, take the first tool, see if it fits. Does this give the answer that you're expecting that it gives? Show it to the person who came to you with the problem. Talk with them, communicate. And then start thinking of everything else. So proof of concept takes 2 weeks. Pretty much to anything, proof of concept takes 2 weeks, especially with data science. Productionized version of it takes 1 year. Where's the gap? And the gap is, how do you deploy it? How do you version it? How do you collaborate? How do you check and monitor the performance? Is it giving answers? Is it giving the correct answers? Then who will use it and how? We're talking about machine learning models, so it's a Python model running, or TensorFlow model running inside of a Python API. Okay, who calls the API? How often? What then? So you are working as a team. You are bigger than yourself, and the solution is bigger than you. And if you want to be a lead, then I think that's the main part. Understand where you fit in and understand what's the impact of your work and how you can make the impact of others greater.
Thank you. That was Martin Karu in the episode of Leaders and Engineers. Thank you for watching and listening us.
Thanks.